Howdy, you guys. Happy Halloween. I'm sure by the time y'all are watching this, it's actually after Halloween because it's already 10:39 p.m. on October 31st, so we're just going to get started. Happy 1st of November, I guess, whenever y'all start watching this. So one thing I completely forgot about, we all kind of forgot about this, but the player needs to pick up a power-up to be able to attack. So I'm going to create this power-up real quick. Just place it in here. So shout out to all you guys. You guys have been doing an awesome job. Keep up the good work, guys. I cannot tell you how much I appreciate how much y'all have been working on this project. It really means a lot to me, seeing that y'all are dedicated to it. Y'all are doing an awesome job. Y'all are doing what you can. The fact that y'all are even watching these tutorials, like, you have no idea how much I appreciate that. The fact that you're willing to learn, willing to put yourselves out there, doing whatever you can, and you're not hesitating to ask for help. So this tutorial, I'm going to go ahead and create a power-up real quick, and then I'm going to start talking about the sliders and whatnot. The main reason for me doing the power-up right here is because of the fact that we already decided that the player will need to pick up a power-up to be able to attack before they can actually attack. And that's the only reason for me doing this. I'm actually doing this on the wrong layer. Okay, so let's actually do this. So I'm going to create that. I'm going to create that. I'm actually going to make that more open or more transparent. Give these some edges, like so. To go with a darker color, I'm going to set this to 5. But I want to go with a lower opacity. I'm actually going to create another layer. Make it look like it has some depth to it. And then I'm going to create one more layer. I'm going to crank up the opacity. Go probably right about there. Stupid dogs. Alright, that looks good. So now I'm going to go with this white fluffy layer. I'm going to set this to probably 20. Probably 81. I'm going to go more white. I'm going to create one more layer. Actually bring this up to 100%. There we go. So this is just going to be a representation of the power-up that the player can pick up to be able to do whatever they need to do. And I've also created the character anim file. I still need to work on the layers a little bit more, but that's essentially what we're going to use for the animation. Attack, power up, save. Okie dokie. So sliders. I believe it was Neil was asking the difference between a slider and what he's currently using. So if we go into the player health, I believe it was. So he's actually using health bar, stamina bar, energy bar, and transformation bar. Whereas me, I just use a slider. So anytime we have a slider inside this scene, I'm just going to create one real quick. So we're going to go down to UI. We're going to go to slider. We are presented with this little bar right here. Now, a slider will take this, I'm going to expand this out. It'll take this little handle area, and it'll basically move it up or down. This is how we use, actually I need to be right here on the side. This is how we can control volume and such, but we can also use this for health as well. So if we were to take the handle and get rid of it, well, now we have this little bar right here that can be represented as health and whatnot. Now, obviously, this doesn't go all the way down or all the way forward, but you're getting the idea on how it can work. So we can simply take the background layer, go into our transform. I believe it's the background. Yeah, it is the background. We can actually move these, just move this down like this. So now our slider looks more correct. So this is how the sliders work. What he is doing here is he's actually taking the stamina bar and he's actually setting essentially the same thing. Whereas a slider, you can actually specify a value to it. So there are several things you can do with a slider. I mentioned earlier that we have an audio setting. So let's just say we have audio, which would be like our main sound volume. You can actually equal that audio dot volume to equal the slider dot volume. And this is like one of the advantages of using sliders. Just like I've done down here, we had our transformation on the slider he was using, whereas me, I was just using a slider dot value. And so we can actually use these in here. We'll still be using has transformed and whatnot, but the only difference is like we have the transformation bar. He has a set transformation. We're calling it int, and we have current transformation. Whereas me, all we're doing is setting the slider down here. So is what we would do is I'm actually going to get rid of these commented out lines. I'll still comment this out because we don't really need it. So is what we do is we have current transformation minus equals transformation. And the way we do this is this all basically stays the same. These are still values are being inputted with the one exception that we want to say, like right here, we have this if statement. So instead of saying current transformation equals 0, we would say trans slider dot value equals 0. And we'd actually do the same thing up here. So all we're doing is we're just getting the value of that and making sure it's equal to this number. We can also say is greater than or equal to 100. So at any time if it hits 100 or goes higher, then we'll say, yes, you have transformed, and the player movement has transformed. So it'll call within that script. Additionally, we come in here and see if this trans slider is less than or equal to 0. So we can say, you have no longer transformed, and that is equals false. Up here inside the update, I believe we have an update. I'm actually going to collapse some of these because we don't really need to worry about those for the time being. Use energy and give transformation. So those are the only ones. If they have transformed, then we're going to say transformation timer minus equals 0. And that's great and groovy, but we're not actually taking away from the slider value. So is what we need to do right here is we actually need to specify on the give transformation. And the way we're going to do this is we're going to come in here. When you look at the trans slider value, we need to subtract this every so often. And the way we simply do that is if we have transformed, we're going to say trans slider dot value minus equals, we can say 0.02f times time dot delta time. So what's going to happen is it's going to take away 0.02 off of the slider value every single tick. And then all we're doing is looking at the transformation timer, which is this little guy right here, which is minus equals. And honestly, we probably don't even need this. We can actually get rid of this right here. And after we've done that, because this will actually drop down. So once the value is, there we go, is less than or equal to 0, we will say has transformed equals false. And then we'll come down here and, or actually we don't even need to come down here because we're already setting that to false. So we can go ahead and save that. And now is what I want to do is I want to see if I can get this value up. In fact, I need to delete this slider. So I'm going to do that real quick. Let me go ahead and delete that. I'm going to hit play. I'm going to get this maxed out. Now once it's maxed out, we should see it dropping back down. So I'm just going to build this up real quick. And there we go, it's maxed out. So it's not dropping down. Why is it not dropping down? Because we should have transformed. So what I'm going to do is down here, I'm going to do a debug.log. Debug.log has trans equals plus has transformed. And so as what I'm going to do is I'm going to call this. I think I know what's going on is it's all inside the player movement. So this is maxing out, but I don't think it's getting called. And we'll find out here very quickly if it is. So I'm just going to run and max this out real quick. Okay, so that is now maxed out. And we see has transformed equals false, has transformed equals true. So it calls true for one frame. And so we know that it is working down here because it is calling it. So is what we need to do now is take this debug.log, and I'm going to paste it in here. I'm going to paste it in here. So in here we need to see has transformed. We're still checking if it's true or not. So this should be ticking every single second. And as long as it's ticking, then this should be going away. But then more specifically, inside the transform slider, we're going to do another check. And we're going to simply say transform slider equals, and then we're going to do a value check on it. So we're actually going to check to see, we're going to be doing one check to see what it's, I'm trying to think how to explain this. I want to make sure it's constantly saying true. And I'm also going to take one more, I'm going to paste it under here to see if it's even going down. And this transform slider will be inside trans slider dot value if statement. So now we have all of these right here, and this will tell me if it is doing what I want it to do. And honestly, with this being inside the if, I probably don't even need to multiply this by time.delta time. We can actually have it just take away that much every single tick. So we're going to do this real quick, and let's see if it's even registering. If it is, we should see it dropping fairly quickly. Time.delta time will do it according to how the time is done in real time on the events and everything. So we just need to wait for another display to come down. So this is almost filled. Okay, so yes, it is definitely dropping the transform slider. So that is working. And if I move, I'm not getting anything taken away. So that is definitely working the way it's supposed to. Alright, so this is definitely dropping down. So we probably need to increase this range. But essentially that is all we are doing, is we're just simply looking at it and we're saying what we want the slider value to do. And that's the advantage of working with a slider versus working with something that's strict like a health bar or something. The slider you can actually call it sorry, the slider you can actually call it directly through the UI itself. And you can use the float values as currently specified with. So if we go into the transformation bar up here, you'll see that we're using whole numbers, or we're not using whole numbers, but we still have a min value of 0 and a max value of 100. And because we're not using whole numbers, we can come up here and get a value of, say, 3.8. We can actually get a value of 3.000002 if we wanted. So that's the really nice thing about using a bar like this, is we can use a float value and just kind of have it smoothly lerp up. Health is fine as an int, but we could also do this for the stamina and for the energy. So this way, if say we wanted to make it where we want the stamina and the energy to smoothly go down for whatever reason, I don't think health or energy would really be a requirement because energy is only done with dash and ground smash. Whereas stamina, that's actually done with running. So the stamina would be really good, and dash we could use that. Say during the time of the dash, it's taken away so much while she's in her dash state. The way we would do that is we have the trans slider right here, but we could specify a dash slider. And so if we come in here, this takes away the energy. So let's go ahead and bring this out. So the way we would do this is we would simply say dash slider dot value. This is basically the same thing that we'll do down here. We'll say plus equals whatever we have specified to it. So in this case, we're actually going to say deplete energy. So we're going to say, or actually we need to minus equals deplete energy. There it is. So now we have this. I'm actually going to ignore all this code for the time being. And so inside the player movement, if I go up to the update, we need to look to see where she does dash, which I believe it's fire 2, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, fire 2. So right here, can dash. And we're specifying how much energy we want her to use, which is just 5. Well, let's go ahead and comment that line out. And while she is dashing, we're going to say ph use energy, but we're going to specify a number. So I'm just going to say 0.2f, and let's go ahead and close that out. Now, we're getting this red squiggly, and that is fine. The reason why we're getting this red squiggly because it's looking for an int. But if we were to change this to a float, we should get an error up. No, we won't get an error up there. That's right. Okay. And now you can see that this red squiggly has gone away. So in here, we're going to come back in here, let it compile. So I don't know if 0.2 is going to be enough or not, or if it's too much, but we'll see what happens when I dash. So let's go ahead and let it get started. I'm going to dash. Oh, duh. So I'm getting this error because I forgot to put the energy inside the player. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. Come on. So we're going to use this slider value now. And we're going to dash. And so we should see the stamina drop. Or the energy drop. Okay, so I did it with the wrong one. But that's okay, because you can still see it dropping each time. Or no, wait, that was the correct one to use. But each time I'm doing this, you can see it dropping down while she's dashing. And we can place any value we want. And just like before, the dash slider dot value would go here to current energy minus equals deplete energy. And we wouldn't even need this because we're no longer calling it. Then over here, we need to do a check to see if dash slider dot value is less than or equal to 0. If it is, then we'll take damage. Now right here, this is where if you decided to change the way the health bar works, we could do that. In fact, we probably want to do that because otherwise it's going to call this every single frame while she's dashing. So that's one of the things to really keep in mind, or to be mindful of, is that we'd want to do this. Is to, like, if we're going to do it like this, that's how we need to do it. I'm actually just going to comment this out. So this way you can see what I've added and what used to be there, should you decide to go with it one way or another. If you feel like taking this on, do it. I encourage you to try and set the damage and stamina. Well, the stamina, I think. No, stamina's not. So if you want to try and take this on, do the same thing with the take damage and the use stamina. I'd definitely like to see what you can do and just get your overall input on it, see how it feels. If you like it, let's go with it. I think a float is way smoother. So one of the errors I noticed, and this is a simple error to fix. Now, I know I already have the power-ups. That's because of the save system I set up, so I no longer have to collect these. But one of the issues that I have, I'm going to run. Okay, that looks normal. That actually looks really good. So I'm going to run on here. Okay. Whoa, wait, what was that? What is going on here? What is this wizardry? What's going on is inside the player movement. I actually have the binding for the... Where is it? I don't need that. That's jump. I don't need that. And so fire 3 is where I... No, it's not fire... Is it fire 3? It is fire 3. Okay. So for fire 3, this is what's set to the ground pound. Fire 3 also represents left shift. We are already using left shift for the run. So there's actually 2 ways we can do this. I'm actually going to type in... Let me go ahead and do a key code dot left alt. So that left alt is what we're going to use for Fire 3. So if we come in here and we go into project settings, we are in the input manager, and this is set to left shift. We're just going to change this to alt, and we will save it. So now, if we, and y'all will need to do this. So she has the shoot, but now when I'm running, you can see that she is no longer doing the ground smash. So the other thing we'll need to do is we have left control. Oh, I was hitting left control, not left alt. So she'll still do the ground smash if she is on top of this thing. And that'll be the next thing I need to fix. Very simple fix. But I'm going to stop the tutorial here. I'm going to start uploading this video, and I'll see y'all next time.